Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, July 19th, 2015, 35 weeks. It's been 35 weeks since the character of Adam was recast, brought back onto the show. It was November 2014. 35 weeks we have all been waiting, wondering when the big identity reveal was going to happen, and it happened. Finally. I am thrilled. I loved the show this week. There was a lot going on, but for sure, hands down, Adam's identity reveal was what had me. I mean, I was bug-eyed in every single scene the entire week. It was so good, and it was so right. I really appreciated the way it was revealed. I've found myself feeling increasingly over the past maybe 2 or 3 weeks, really annoyed with Adam. His cockiness, the way he blackmailed Victor without a second thought, and just found himself at the top of the heap and started picking at everyone in such an Adam way, picking at everyone else around him and really lording his power. There's something about, I think it speaks more about me when a character is on the outside or is downtrodden. I'm like, go help him, I'm all on their side. But as soon as they get a little bit of power and they're winning, there's something about me that just wants them to lose a little bit. So I was kind of happy to see Adam lose a little bit, or I thought he was gonna lose. But there's this wonderful culmination scene where Gabe has yet again just tossed everyone from the Newmans and the Abbotts aside. They are certainly enemies at his gate, and he is being over the top egotistical with everyone except for Chelsea. And I also have to say, in regard to Chelsea's character, I've been with her over the past couple weeks shocked that she's letting him get away with it. There was always something about Chelsea that balanced Adam out, and certainly she's having I think the things that attracted her to Gabe are the things that are attracted her to Adam, and for some reason she's letting him lord this power over people who I kind of thought she had developed somewhat friendships with. But I mean, he's there being mean to everyone, and she's just, come on guys, give him a chance, making excuses for him, and even giggling in his arms, having sex in Victor's office with this man while he's doing all of this. It seemed odd to me, but I loved the culmination of that that sex scene where she's kind of enjoying the power too. You can't deny it. She's kind of giggling around, and they're doing it on Victor's couch. I'm sure there's some big thrill in that for her. But what's the thrill in it for Adam? Well, it's this ability to be able to tell himself that he has conquered Victor. And there's just the moment where he's looking up at the picture of Victor on the wall, and I don't know why anyone would want to have sex in a room where your father's picture is on the wall watching you. I don't know what the thrill of that would be for him, but he did. I mean, there's something about Adam that I'm like, he was probably looking at the picture while he was doing it to Chelsea, yeah, how you like that, Dad? It was, there's just something totally sick and twisted about it. I mean, and I guess in that moment where just before the big reveal, Chelsea has stepped out of the room, and Adam is congratulating himself on what a great job he's done taking over the company. He's got his woman back. I mean, everything has fallen into place in his life, and he's looking up at the picture of his father, and he's just giving himself a big ol' pat on the back, talking defiantly to Victor, saying, how does it feel knowing that the son that you lost, the son that you pushed aside, your lost son, has beaten you. How does that feel, Dad? I won. Me. So here's to me. Here's a toast. Here's to me, Adam Newman. He holds up his champagne glass, and over in the background we hear a champagne glass dropping on the floor and crashing into a million pieces, and then we see the shot of Chelsea's face, and she's overheard him confessing all. Ooh, it was so good. It was such a crazy mix of emotions, because I'm thinking, Adam Newman is this sick and twisted man, and I always want to make excuses for him. I think in part because I find that the character to be multifaceted and interesting and attractive, and I do always, I'm an Adam fan, but it's like, wow, he deserves to be taken down a peg or two. And Chelsea has let herself get wrapped up in this world, and like she even says herself later in the week, I always had a feeling Gabe was holding something back. Well, she didn't go with that instinct. She's supposed to be the smart, savvy con artist woman, and she really didn't pursue anything more about Gabe's history. And now here we are. She's heard him declaring that he's Adam Newman, and the look on her face, I've got to give it to Melissa Claire Egan this week. She gets, I don't know, in some ways I think her performance was better than Adam's. I can't think of the actor's name. Not that he didn't do a good job, but he certainly did. But I don't know, there was something about Melissa Claire Egan this week that just hit it out of the park. The look on her face, it was like shock and horror, and immediately Adam tries to backpedal out of it and say, it's just kind of, just playing around. But she knows. She heard him. And there's certainly got to be something inside of her that's always known something wasn't right. And she presses him finally to tell her the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And he does. And considering he's hid so much from her at so many different places, he pretty much tells her everything. He tells her the whole story, like taking it all the way back, everything that happened. He took us back to the night that Billy got the gun, found out it was him, and kind of held him hostage, took us back to the car wreck, took us back to how he got rescued by the Binghams and Sage's involvement. He tells her everything up into anything having to do with the whole Victor mess, and it was completely like an earthquake hit this woman. She's looking at him in the face like, I don't even think she knew what to do with herself. It was such a weird mix of emotions that I was getting off of Chelsea, and it was so appropriate. It was like, at first she was seeing a ghost, like not wanting to really believe that could be Adam standing right there, but all of the little pieces are starting to come together. The little questions that she's had here and there, it's all starting to flood forward and make sense. And I didn't know what her real reaction was going to be. After the shock settled in, I was really just on pins and needles waiting to see what she was going to do with this information, because at first I was getting this vibe off of her it was every widow's dream come true. Another chance with your husband who's died and left you, and she's longed for him so long and so many nights, and she embraces him and is saying, Adam, and that's completely reasonable. That's I can understand why she would first have that reaction, but then she started to pull back, and she started to get angry with him, and she started to realize exactly how much of a betrayal was going on, because it was a betrayal. We all know, because we've gone along on the journey with Adam, what he was all about, and that he was wanting Chelsea, and we kind of understand his actions, but it's sick what he did. Can you imagine how you would feel if you were Chelsea? Adam is supposed to be the man who would always protect her, always love her, and there's a manipulation in there that was not fair. And not only that, but she just feels betrayed by the fact that he couldn't confide in her. She says, you were alive this entire time and you didn't tell me. You let me grieve for you. You knew. You watched me grieve for my dead husband as Gabe, and you would have continued to let me believe. And that's the piece that didn't even start sinking in with me until maybe a month or so ago, when I realized, wait a minute, Adam really never has any intention of revealing himself. He's probably going to be perfectly fine to just be Gabriel Bingham for the rest of his life and to never have to face the consequences for anything that he's done. And she realizes that, oh my gosh, I could have gone on the rest of my life never knowing the secret, and you would have been content to just let me believe the lie. And then there's Connor. And then there's the fact that you've done this to your son, and oh my gosh, my son's father is still alive, and everyone else is, how many other people knew about this besides me? She realizes that Jack knew. We shouldn't have said everyone else, because certainly it's not everyone else, but she realizes that Jack knew Adam's secret, and she even put together the fact that Adam had blackmailed Billy over blackmailed Jack over the fact that Billy had shot him, and that Jack knew but wasn't really able to reveal the truth because he didn't want his brother to go to jail. I mean, Chelsea starts to slowly put all of the pieces together, and the fact that, I mean, at the end of the day, Adam Newman did, he hit Delia. That's an accident. But as Chelsea said, covering it up was not an accident. That was real, and that was wrong. And she also begins to realize the full depth of what that betrayal is, that this man that she loved so much did this horrible thing and covered it up and changed his identity, whether it was his choice or not, whatever. He went along with the plan to change his identity to avoid prosecution for his crimes and to just assume a new identity and ingratiate himself with his wife and his child. It's sick. Adam Newman is a sick, sad, and selfish man, and that's what I took away from this big reveal this week. I'm not saying I don't enjoy the character, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't find the actor sexy and that I'm not going to be all up in the Adam storyline for the rest of my life. Believe me, I mean, he's like my favorite character on the show. But there's just something that hit me this week. Like, this guy is vile. He really, really is. And I think that it's that mix of love and hate that I feel that helps me kind of identify with what Chelsea feels. You love him, but you hate him. And you realize that maybe he's not even that redeemable. Maybe he is the disgusting pig that you think he is, even though you want to believe he's something different, because she starts to talk to himself about turning himself in for what happened with Delia, and he tells her pretty darn quick that he has no intentions of doing that. He's not gonna go to jail. He didn't create this whole identity and lie and life just to give it all up at the very end, just to give it all up when he's gotten everything that he wanted. No. He was hoping that she's gonna keep this secret. The only problem is she tells him, I don't know if I can live with what you've done. And in fact, that's where they left that conversation, and I loved it because I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even know what she's gonna do. I mean, when she walked out that door, I thought, is she gonna go to the cops? Is she gonna run and just tell everybody in general? I mean, I guess it was mostly, my thought was, is she gonna go straight to the police? Is the next scene we see the police busting in on Adam Newman and hauling him away to jail and maybe getting somewhere, where we really dig in and talk about what happened the night of Delia's death? I really didn't know, but I loved that she was put into this, I love the storyline idea that she was put into this position of, do I betray the man that I love? And it was just absolutely incredible and awesome. And I was a little bit surprised that Chelsea's first move after all of this, she didn't go to the cops. She went to Sage, which I wasn't expecting. Adam was very clear on the part that I didn't ask for any of this. It was Sage who decided that she wanted to, give me my plastic surgery to make me look like Gabriel Bingham so that Constance didn't have to lose her grandson. This is really also Sage's fault, and he made a point of really bearing down on that point of the story. So Chelsea naturally, I guess, goes to Sage to confront her, and I mean, she was like, you need to not even come near me, woman. Sage, you need to just stay back because I don't want to have to hit a pregnant lady. That was so good. I mean, and I felt it. I understood why Chelsea felt the way she would. I mean, it probably took everything in her to not lunge forward on Sage and rip her from limb to limb. I mean, that pregnancy is probably the only thing that saved Sage's life in that moment. But Sage, I kind of felt her perspective too. I do like Sage, and I make an attempt to kind of understand where all the characters were coming from, and I do understand to some extent, what Sage was going through. Not that her actions were even that much better than Adam's. She chose a lie. She chose this elaborate, wrong, crazy scheme with plastic surgery rather than just telling the truth to the grandmother. But I guess I kind of understood how she felt, the way that she explained it. It was very compelling. I mean, Sage absolutely begs Chelsea not to go public, and it's not about her, and it's not it's not about Adam. It's it's about her child. I am pregnant with Nick's baby. Please don't take this away from me. And the way that Sage explained it, I just thought was very compelling. Don't make Nick and my baby pay for my mistakes. So it's so unfair to Chelsea. The weight of all of this has just been dumped onto her. The weight of the truth is dumped onto her. Nobody else had the guts to come forward and tell the truth. Adam didn't, Sage didn't. They all chose the lie. And now Chelsea is going through that process that they've gone through, only in just like this short little matter of time. And so she seems like, she leaves Sage, kind of on a note of, I can't promise you I'm not going to say anything. I probably am going to say anything. It's the right thing to do. So you just might want to get your affairs in order. And in fact, Sage does. She practically had a goodbye with Nick. The scene in the booth where she's holding his face and saying she doesn't think that the life they planned is ever going to work out. And I mean, she goes as far as to writing him a goodbye letter. I mean, she's out. She knows if this secret gets out, she is done. She is absolutely done in Nick's life. The story is up for her. So she is like ready to get out of Dodge. And it seems like Chelsea is going to go to the police. The next stop she makes is to her apartment with her son. Of course, Adam comes over. Thank goodness I can finally just call him Adam instead of flipping back and forth between Gabriel and Adam. Hallelujah! But of course, Adam shows up at the door, and he's now completely changed his demeanor. He starts going on about how he's going to turn himself in. Now he's decided that he's going to do the right thing. I'm sorry, Chelsea, I don't want to have to put you through this. I need to do the right thing. I've called a meeting. A big Victor style-esque meeting where it's just, everybody comes at his beck and call. What are we here for? Adam says he's called a meeting. He's going to tell Victoria and Nick and Billy and Abby and everybody the truth about his identity. He's going to reveal himself, and then he's just going to wait for the cops to come. And he's telling all of this to Chelsea, and I'm thinking he's full of it. He's completely and totally full of it. Because here's the thing, Adam is a con artist. And although I do believe that Adam loves Chelsea with all of his heart and all of his soul, and he loves her in a way that he probably, the most he could love for anyone, he loves for Chelsea. but he loves himself more. And he starts talking to Chelsea about, well, I'm gonna turn myself in, but just one thing, can you just give me a few more moments with Connor? And he takes the kid, and he sits down on the couch with him, and he starts talking to Connor about, oh, he's gonna miss him, and you know, all the while, I think I can see his eyes sort of looking out of the corner over at Chelsea, like making sure Chelsea's feeling the full effect of his tearful goodbye to his son. Give me a freaking break. Adam Newman knew exactly what he was doing in that moment, and it was working. Chelsea's like, you know, looking over at him. He's staring like at every sad word he says. He looks up at Chelsea. Well, I guess I'm gonna turn myself in now. Over at Chelsea. I guess tonight will be the last time I ever see the outside of a jail cell. Over at Chelsea, sad puppy dog eyes. And Chelsea is eating it. She's lapping it up. I mean, she has conviction. Chelsea actually doesn't want to lie about any of this, but she kind of goes along with it. I mean, she realizes she's sacrificing her son's relationship with his father. She's sacrificing any relationship, any love that maybe that she still had for Adam. But, you know, it's like he's waiting for her to grab his arm as he's walking out the door. This is just my opinion. Maybe you guys read it differently, but I see through this man. And so he gets ready to leave, and she lets him. She's kind of like, well, yeah, it's what has to be done. You just go ahead. You just go and you turn yourself in. And so he walks out the door and walks into this big Victor Newman style. It's like looking at Victor Newman Jr. Let us not forget his real name, Victor Newman Jr. Calls up this big meeting with everybody there, and he's starting to tell them Gabriel Bingham is no more. I mean, the truth is just leaving his lips. When, what do you know, Chelsea rides into the rescue, stops him from saying anything else, totally covers the whole thing up, stops the truth from coming out. Everybody else in the room is mildly annoyed by this. They end up kind of shuffling away, but Chelsea, you know, Adam goes along with it like, oh, I mean, oh, really? You don't, oh, I never would have expected you to come interrupt me from telling this truth. Shocker. I knew the previous episode, I was like, that's exactly what's going to happen. Or even before I saw the episode, I knew that was going to happen. Although it would have been great if he just would have revealed it to everybody. That would have been awesome. But they're going to have to slow leak this out. Y&R needs to drag this out. We can't have one big explosion. We need to have many mini explosions. So they're alone in the room together. And, you know, she starts to tell him that, you know what, we just need to keep this secret up. I mean, I was afraid, I guess there was a part of me that thought, if she just takes him back, that's lame. I didn't want to see Chelsea just welcome Adam back with open arms, not when he initially told her and not now. I think what he's pulled on her is deep. And it needs to be, she needs to go through her process of dealing with this. And if she would have just fallen back into his arms with champagne and roses and happy reunion, I would have been really disappointed. And I'm glad that that's not what happened. She pretty much told him, look, I saved your butt right now, but I didn't do it for you. I did it for Billy. I did it for Sage. I did it for all of the people's lives who would be affected by your lie. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go along with this. Your name is Gabriel Bingham. You have no wife. You have no son. My husband is dead. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. That was so good. I just love Chelsea this week. She was so right on. She was just dead on. She walks out the door and leaves him standing there. And I think he didn't quite know what to make of that. There might as well have just been a little smirk on his face. I mean, she's now complicit in this lie. I mean, she's sacrificed her own self. She's sacrificing her son to an extent. She is an accessory to his whole lie. His whole life is a lie at this point. And she's made herself no better than him in a way. And that was, in a sense, a sacrifice of herself and her relationship and her future. Ugh. Just wait until Chelsea finds out that Sage's baby is probably his. Oh, you were pining for me, because the whole week Adam's like, I did it for you. All I wanted was you. The only thing I wanted was you. Sage was telling her, all he wanted was you. All I wanted was you. All I wanted was you. But then, oops. That baby that Sage is carrying might actually be Adam's. There was that one little hiccup where he slept with Sage. Oh, it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. That secret's got to come out. I mean, Sage went to, at the end of the episode on Friday, Sage went to go to the hospital, go get a paternity test, but I don't even know if that's going to be necessary. How much you want to bet Sage's child is born with Adam's genetic eye disorder? I really am rooting for Sage. I don't know why. I think I just always root for the underdog. The second the character is on the, they're down and out and seemingly out, I'm like, go, go, go. Cause there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to see Sage lose everything that she's done. Because I think the way she explained it to Chelsea was, when I did this, when I helped Adam do his identity switch, I thought there was no future for me. I had just lost Gabriel, the love of my life, and I didn't want to lose Constance. I didn't believe that there were any more happy days for me. So, and I think Chelsea identified with that, because she said something she said something similar to Adam when she was explaining her process of losing her husband. So these are both women who've lost their husbands, and I just felt for Sage, because I really, and I picked up on this at the time, I think when she started getting involved with Nick, I think she realized that this was the first time in her life that somebody actually loved her for her, or wanted her for her. This is the first time she's really felt a reciprocal, comfortable relationship. And so I kind of don't want to see her completely lose out. I think that would be sad. And I was kind of also really feeling Marissa this week. I was so glad that she's just cool. Like, when Marissa first came onto the scene, I wasn't sure what to think about the actress. I didn't know if she really had the chops for this, but now that Marissa has been spicing it up around Genoa City for a couple of weeks now, I'm into her. I really like her. I like her style. I like her sort of fashion sense. I like her delivery. I like that she doesn't have ties to these people in a way, so she's able to get away with a little bit more. I don't expect anything from her, so she's able to kind of just be whatever, and she's delivering for me right now. And I like that she's a little bad, but she's got a conscience. She decided, she comes in and sees the letter that Sage has left for Nick, in which she's confessing. She's letting him, Sage thinks Nick is going off to this big meeting with Adam, and that Nick is going to learn everything, which implicates Sage, which makes Sage think that her entire life's going to get blown apart. So she just wants to leave Nick this goodbye letter, and then she's going to hightail it out of town. But Marissa intercepts that at the bar, sees realizes something's up, and there was just that great switcheroo moment where we as the audience know that envelope is sitting on the bar. We know Marissa's seen it, but we didn't see her change any or do anything. Noah comes in, asks about the letter. She lies to him, tells him it's some receipts or something, and then says, he doesn't seem to want to believe her. And she says, you know what? You believe me or don't believe me, it's your choice. Delivering with complete and utter conviction, knowing later that she did switch it out. She made the switch. She grabbed Sage's letter. She was lying to Noah. She goes off, she finds Sage, gives Sage the letter, and says, you don't need to do this. The truth did not come out. Your secret's safe. I've got secrets too. We have more people in common than we know. And she kind of revealed that she's sort of in on it all too, or that she's in the know about Adam, which I don't entirely get. I don't know. I don't entirely get how Marissa is, why she's keeping this secret. I don't know what she's planning to do. I don't know if she's just waiting for Jack to wake up out of his coma. I don't even know if I really like. I don't know. I'm not connecting with what Marissa's motivations necessarily are, but I like the romance that's developing between her and Noah. Take note. We don't need like these complex this complex intrigue. I mean, I have to say I certainly have enjoyed the reveal of Adam's identity, but at the end of the day, I also just like a little love story. I mean, the whole freaking thing with Jack and the number 2 and the finding of the gun, and I'll talk about that next, but that thing has become so just overly and unnecessarily complex in my opinion, but then I just settle on down to a cute little Noah and Marissa love story, and I'm in it. I love it. Noah's got Marissa a room at the hotel, the athletic club, and I can't remember, he leaves her there. She's gonna go take a shower and he forgets something in the room and he has to come back, and she just happens to be coming to the door just in the towel only, as if you ask yourself this question. Your doorbell rings at home, you've just gotten out of the shower. Under any circumstance do you go to that door with just the towel? I guess if you're a super like sexy model, then maybe you do, but she does. She goes back to the towel. Oh, just cleavage here. And, oh, don't mind me, I'm just almost naked. Don't mind me, I'm just completely naked and wet under the towel. And at Noah's eyes, it was like, I mean, looking at him, they might as well have inserted like those old Looney Tunes cartoon effects over Noah. Like they could have literally showed his eyes bugging out of his head and his tongue like unraveling and falling to the ground. Awooga! Awooga! I'm gonna give you in 30 seconds or less the summary. I'm gonna try anyway. The summary of everything that's gone on with Jack. You know, Phyllis is doing squeezy hand stuff to get information out of Jack. She is not getting anywhere with the yes or no answers, so she gives Jack a pad of paper and a pen and asks him to write what's going on it, and he writes the number 2. Okay, then he falls back into a coma. Then Phyllis is on a big mission to try to find out what the number 2 means. She tells Ashley tells Nikki goes to Victor, asks him what the number 2 means, but all it does is tip Victor off to the fact that everyone's on to it, and so that gives him a chance to plant a gun, plant the second gun in Chelsea's apartment to implicate Gabriel. How's that work? Was that under 30 seconds? It took them 4 episodes to get through all that, and it's overwhelming to me. Am I the only one? It's just, I don't care about I want Jack to just wake up from the coma and that whole part of it to be over. That part of the storyline is not interesting to me. Ashley stops by Chelsea's apartment and, I hope I didn't, sorry for anybody who didn't see it, because that was probably a really bad recap, but Ashley stops by Chelsea's apartment. She is snooping around, because everybody wants to find the second gun, because Phyllis revealed to Nikki, who revealed to Ashley, I think, that Jack actually did have a gun. I mean, Phyllis saw Jack had a gun, so why has Phyllis been defending Jack the whole time? Like, I mean, she knew he had a gun. She knew he was up to something. He was keeping it in his jacket pocket. And then yet she acted since Jack got shot, like it's not possible that he and Victor could have got into a shootout or something. A shootout. So basically, now though, they're all looking for the second gun, because if there was another gun on the premise, then there's more to the story. Maybe Victor did shoot Jack in self-defense, or just maybe there's more to it. And certainly they all know there is more to it. Ashley calls the cops. Tips them off to the fact that she saw a gun in Chelsea's apartment, which it was in the most obvious place. It even had the barrel pointed out. It was in a cabinet, and then the barrel was like pointed out toward the outside of the cabinet, which is, I mean, who would even put that there with a child in the house? It's not even believable. It completely looks like a plant. Victor is just again, I will say it again, it's another day, another desk for him. He is just sitting there behind his gel room desk. He's got Wi-Fi. He has the guards charging his iPad for him. I mean, it's just like a vacation for him. Except he doesn't have to, I mean, he's wearing different clothes. So anyway, he completely planted that gun there. The police bust in, they find it. It makes Gabriel look very guilty, which he is. And now, not only the betrayal that Adam, the whole obvious betrayal between Adam and Chelsea. But now the fact that he's lied and got caught up in this whole Jack shooting Victor, any of this mess, has now brought a world of hurt into Chelsea's life. Now, police are busting up in her door. There was a gun in her house where her child is. And now she's going to be continuously lying about this identity right along with him. She's going to be completely complicit in lying about it all. And she's also fully realizing now that, well, you probably had more to do this Victor thing than you've told me. More lies, more lies. I wouldn't trust that man. As much as I like character, things hot, I would never ever be involved with him. I wouldn't come within 10 feet of Adam Newman. The other thing is, then at the very end of the week, Paul sent the gun that he found to forensics, and what do you know, it was Jack's gun because they found fingerprints. They found Jack's fingerprints on the gun. Wait a minute, whoa. How can Jack's fingerprints be on the gun when it was Marco's gun? So in addition to every other way that Jack and Marco are exactly alike, they have the same fingerprints too? Our new COO, Abby, was a little bit better for me this week than it was last week. I will say, first of all, I like that Abby gets to have a whole new business attire. The one she wore last week that was really far buttoned up was kind of lame, but the outfit that she had on toward the end of the week with the vest with the pattern on the back of it was really beautiful, and the collar was decorated. She just looked really gorgeous with that. She had like a fuchsia lipstick and a fuchsia purse. The styling was beautiful. Abby looked beautiful this week, and I did enjoy it. I enjoyed her a little bit more than last week, and I didn't zoom in on her last week, so I thought I'd do it now. I think the colder version of Abby might play even a little bit more realistic for me. There's something about the actress that just doesn't pull it together, doesn't pull it off for me. But there were brief little flickers of her just being deadpan and annoyed and just a little more cold that actually rang a little bit more truthful for me than her constantly being the fluttery Abby. I mean, maybe the thing is, I think we kind of talk a lot about the actress maybe coming off as dumb or maybe not being a good actress. Maybe it's the fact that she's too smart to play a dumb role, because there was part of me that thought, gosh, I actually kind of liked the Abby that's putting business above pleasure. It actually worked a little bit more for me than what they've done with her in the past. Maybe it's a good sign. And in fact, I enjoyed her negotiation scene more this week than I enjoyed the whole stupid big rig thing last week. This week it was kind of good. She was able to pull a couple of fast ones, and I thought the actress pulled it off this week. The problem is, I think we're going to see Abby starting to take her job so seriously that she is ignoring her relationship with Stitch, which is fine. Stitch is back at the hospital. He's gotten his job back, so Stitch is Stitch again, officially. He's a doctor, and it's probably going to happen just at the same time that Ashley has a relapse on her brain tumor or whatever. I don't know. I mean, Stitch and Ashley are spending way more time together these days than Abby and Stitch, and that's fine with me. I don't want to see the triangle. I don't need to see a mother-daughter triangle. I just want to see Ashley and Stitch together. Let's just breeze right through. Well, you know, it'd be nice to maybe see Abby being so cold that she ends up turning away Stitch, and then he goes to Ashley. That's fine. That seems like a good way to go for me. But I think that if Ashley and Stitch are together, I can get into that eventually. And Abby, the thing is, I want to see some dimension in that character. I'm just dying for it. It makes me sad to see how completely flattered Abby is over the fact that Gabriel has entrusted her with the COO position. Abby feels like everybody else in her family and in her life is not trusting of her, does not have faith in her that she's able to perform the COO job, which she is clearly not qualified for. But it makes me sad to hear her say, like, Gabriel's the only one who has faith in me, and she's completely blind to the fact that she's being used. That's what's sad about it. It's not that Gabe had some great faith in you. It's he put you in that job because he knew you weren't going to be effective. And I think she's trying, and maybe she does realize it and she's fighting against it. I don't know. But I'm really afraid that she actually is over her head. I mean, I think one way to take the story is Abby comes out victorious. But then there's also the possibility that she won't, and that she is going to fall flat on her face and possibly even put herself in harm's way, because she is in negotiation with this smarmy, big-toothed guy who, he's like the epitome of everything I can't stand in men. He's like, I'm Mr. Salesman, and I want to, pretty face. Like, he was very patronizing as far as there's a woman in the room, so it's just all about was just very patronizing toward her, like telling her she's pretty. She's here trying to have a serious conversation, and he's just like, you're ooh, hey, you're a looker. That's just so gross. and not only that, but there was something about him that made me really uncomfortable in like a dangerous sort of way. After they closed the deal, Abby orders up this champagne. I think she's got a lot of emotional stuff going on right now too. And so she felt both victorious, but it was sort of a hollow victory because she couldn't share it with anyone else. And so she's throwing back the champagne. And I noticed that guy's glass was not empty. He wasn't maybe drinking as much champagne as she was. And then he asks her if she needs a ride home. And just something about that made me really uncomfortable. And I thought, oh, please tell me that something is not going to happen to Abby. I do not need her to be YNR's next rape victim. Avery is locked, loaded, ready to put a bullet or 2 or 3 into Joe Clark, just as, of course, Paul is finding the real suspect rapist. He's got DNA evidence and all kinds of other stuff that indicates that Joe was not the one who raped Avery, but she is there with him, and she's got the gun on him. She is shaky but so certain. She knows in her heart that he was the one that did this. She feels it with absolute certainty, and she wants him to pay. If nobody else is going to help her get vengeance on him, she has just completely thrown her own character, anything she knows, anything we know about Avery is out the freaking window right now. She is going to take the law into her own hands, and she's going to get vengeance on him herself. I mean, it's so weird because how many times did she try to convince Dylan or Nick or anybody, everybody, Phyllis in town to not take the law into their own hands, to let the process, let the law help them. And now here she is, just almost standing bare with nothing that is even identifiable about herself, standing there in front of Joe, just wanting to do this, the one thing that she thinks is going to resolve the situation. It was excellent acting. I mean, I can't say enough wonderful things about Jessica Collins. I wish she was still going to be on the show. It was just incredible. I mean, she's looking at Joe. It's like she wants to shoot him, and she doesn't want to shoot him at the same time, and you can just see the tears rolling out of her bloodshot eyes as she is telling him, confess, and it was so forceful of her. And Joe was afraid. I mean, he probably peed and pooped in his chair. He looked completely so afraid that he actually does confess. He actually tells Avery, yes, it was me that raped you, because he has to do something. He's just trying to save his own life here. I mean, that had to have been quite an experience for him. He's looking at this woman who he loves or has said to love, and she's unhinged. Completely unhinged. Now, Dylan happened to be with Paul when Paul was finding out that they found the actual rapist, Avery's actual rapist, and Dylan shows up in the hotel room. I mean, there's a knock on the door, and Avery has to go get the door, gun in one hand, get the door with the other, and Dylan comes in, and he starts to, she's just so rattled and not wanting to listen to Dylan trying to give her the good advice that she points the gun on him. him. She has both of these guys over in the side of the room with the gun on them, and I thought, oh my gosh, who is she? Is she gonna shoot Dylan? It was such a full circle moment as Dylan is trying to both talk her down, but he has to tell Avery, look, Joe didn't rape you. I mean, Dylan becomes Joe's defender. Avery's saying he just confessed, but Dylan is telling her, no, I was just with Paul. They found the rapist. Oh, so sad. And she realizes, I think, what a mistake she might have made, and he does a beautiful job of talking her down, like just counting back from 10 and just trying to get her to take the gun, and you can just tell she doesn't know what to believe anymore. It has shaken her to the very foundation of her being, and I think that really played through in her words, in the scene, in the actress, in the styling, and she just looked awful. I hate that Avery, she's just been walking around with those cuts on her eye and bruised up and her bloodshot eyes and battered. It's just, I really like this actress, and looking at her puppy dog eyes made me so sad. Paul busts in on the situation right after she blows a couple of holes in the ceiling, which is also very dangerous. I mean, this is like nothing of the Avery we knew. Paul reinforces to her that they did find the real rapist. The guy had her phone and her purse on him, which also, if it was Joe, why would he have taken her phone and her purse in the first place? I didn't even know that he had done, or that the real rapist had done this. And the situation becomes diffused, and I can only imagine what had to have been going through Avery's mind at that point. But one thing that kind of stuck out to me was the fact that Michael showed up as Avery's attorney. Dylan's there, Paul's there, and they all kind of started pressing Joe, not really Paul, but Dylan certainly started pressing Joe to drop the charges. Like, well, if Joe drops the charges, then Avery's not going to go to jail for all of this, right? Well, I'm just trying to look at things from Joe's perspective. If this guy didn't do it, if he did not rape Avery, then he's been put through hell by these two. Dylan abducted him, tied him to a chair, beat him up, and then the following day, Avery also put him down in a chair and held him at gunpoint. And now he's supposed to turn around and do favors for these people? And it's kind of funny, because in the scope of things, it's true. Joe didn't really even do anything that bad. If he didn't rape her, then what did he do that was so bad? I mean, definitely he was manipulative to try to come in between Avery and Dylan, but the worst thing that he did was fake his rehabilitation. Adam's done worse than that, Victor's done worse than that, Dylan's done worse than that. So, this guy's kind of been put through the ringer, and I did sort of think, I wonder if Y&R is sort of sacrificing Avery to save Joe. I wonder if the character, if that's what they're doing with the characters, if the point is to make, since Avery's leaving, to put all of this blame and all of this craziness on her, and sort of make Joe into the victim at the end of the day. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But again, Michael shows up to be her attorney, and he's telling her, why don't you just apologize to Joel? Maybe if you give him, say you're sorry, maybe he will drop the charges, and at least you won't go to jail for this incident. And Avery says, I don't even want to do that. They sort of push her into it, like a little girl almost, who had gotten caught doing the bad thing and then has to apologize to whoever she hurt. They sort of forced her over into the situation, and my client has something to say to you. Now, Avery, do you have something to say to Joe? And she goes over, and you think she's going to apologize, and she starts to, I think she said, I'm sorry that I ever met you. You think she's gonna go save herself, but she's still got this viciousness toward him. It was really all, at the end of the day, kind of misplaced. It was misdirected anger. She can't even muster the apology to save herself and have him drop the charges. But of course he does it anyway. And that's another instance where I wonder if we're sacrificing Avery and trying to build up Joe's character, because he ultimately did do the right thing. So now we're stuck in the aftermath of what Avery's done. And I really thought, I think it was maybe like Monday or Tuesday, Dylan and Avery had this sort of goodbye still in the hotel room, and, you know, just talking about how much they've meant to each other and clearly being there for one another. And it was so tender and so sweet. I really thought that was the end. I thought, when, you know, is that going to be your final scene? I mean, they even, they had a goodbye between Avery and Dylan, and then a scene later back at the coffee house where he was looking at that picture, that first picture that he had on him when the character came into Genoa City, and he was writing in his journal, and Sharon showed up and he said, you know, I was just kind of wrapping some things up. And I thought, well, I mean, they really did kind of bring that full circle, and I appreciated that. I wasn't expecting to see that picture in the journal, and you know, that was, you know, Avery is such an important aspect of Dylan's character. I mean, it was the idea of her that carried him through war and into, I think, what was it? He didn't remember who he was. I mean, he had a whole journey, you know, and a whole trauma that Avery helped pull him out of. And so it was appropriate that he was trying to help her pull out of her trauma. Those two characters are very intertwined, and I really thought that was just going to be the end of it. Avery also had a very nice scene with Michael where she's kind of wanting to get out. She's not wanting to practice law anymore. She feels she's betrayed law, betrayed herself, and Michael's really trying to talk her into staying, saying, you know what, why don't you just take a little break? And she seems to kind of agree to that. You know, she's, again, just sort of doing what people tell her to do at this point, but how do you go back? How do you pick up with normal life after being raped and going through that kind of trauma? I mean, the woman needs help. She doesn't need to just go back to work. She needs help. And so even though I thought that was the end, I thought that was kind of strange. The next thing we know, I think they skipped over Avery's story for like maybe Wednesday and Thursday, and the next thing we know, Friday, she is giving an interview for the Innocence Foundation. It's supposed to just be a business interview, and the interview turns into this kind of confession and resignation where she tells the truth about her story and what happened to her, and up to and including the fact that she held Joe at gunpoint, and she says she's resigning from the Innocence Foundation, and I think she indicated that she was no longer going to do the private practice, and then the person who was doing the interview leaves, the journalist leaves, and then she has kind of a final scene with Joe. Was that the end? I don't know. I'm not sure if we've seen the end of Avery. Does anybody know if those were her last air dates? I guess it kind of makes sense for a Friday show. I guess that's the end of Avery. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that nothing bad happened. Well, oh my gosh, obviously something bad happened to her. I'm glad she didn't die, is what I meant to say. I didn't want to see the character just be killed. I didn't want to see the character kill. I feel sad that she's gone, and yet I am kind of thinking that I can deal with where they've left it, because a part of me thinks, well, it might even just possibly still be open for a return in the future. Joe Clark is everyone's punching bag. He's sitting down at the hotel bar after having just been held at gunpoint. What a week this guy has had. I mean, seriously. He's sitting down there at the bar. Ugh. And tied to a chair, held hostage, then held at gunpoint. Then Kane comes down into the bar, punches him right in the face. He completely deserved it. He deserved that one. I would say of all the things, that was the only one he actually did deserve. And Kane needed to get that punch in. I love Kane right now. I really do. There's just something in the delivery. I like the actor. I like seeing him. Don't necessarily like everything he's doing. He's decided to file for sole custody of the kids. Not only is he leaving Lily, but he's wanting full custody. So we are just speeding right along in the devolution of Lily and Kane's relationship. I imagine they're just going to be busted up here pretty soon. I thought, well, maybe it'll be a long drawn out divorce, but no, he's speeding right through. He wants out. He wants out of the relationship. He's completely lost faith in Lily. I mean, there's no going back for him. And in fact, they had this little scene at the athletic club where he tells her he wants sole custody because he's lost faith in her. And he says something like, you know, I'm starting to question whether or not Joe was ever flirting with you in the first place. Maybe it was you flirting with him. How many other guys have you been with? She smacks him, of course. But I mean, that says a lot. The fact that he no longer knows who this woman is shows that maybe he can't go on with the relationship. I don't know. That might be it for Lily and Kane. I loved the fact that Devon and Hillary came down the stairs during the middle of this argument, and they're happy. I mean, Devon and Hillary are the two happiest people on this show right now. They're planning a wedding, and they're trying to be kind to Lily and Kane and help facilitate them at least communicating and hopefully getting back together. And Kane's like, oh, that's so great. Hey, that's so great how your relationship is going so well when mine is falling apart. And maybe it wouldn't have fallen apart if it wouldn't have been for you and y'all's lies. I love it. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. I feel sad that Lily and Kane are breaking up. I don't want that. But the Hillary and Devon thing is actually really exciting to me right now. The fact that they are in the midst of the wedding planning. There was this one moment where Hillary and Devon are sitting at the table looking at different pictures of venues. And Hillary is saying, wow, Lily and Kane are pretty much the ideal couple from the outside. And yet we're looking at them and realizing that things are not quite as they seem. You know, that's hard times. And are we going to be able to make it last? If they can't make it last, can we? And Devon said something to the effect of, I think that our hard times are behind us. And I thought, ooh, that's some foreshadowing right there, because you know damn well that ain't true. I'm telling you right now, they are planning a wedding that Neil is going to somehow kibosh. He hates them. And matter of fact, Kane's not too happy about it either. I think they're going to go on and they're going to plan this huge romantic, really nice wedding. I hope so anyway. I hope they plan this really great wedding and then Neil or somebody else comes in and just crashes it. Not that I want to see Hillary and Devon not together. I'm enjoying their relationship, and frankly, they're like the only thing on the show right now that's actually giving me genuine happy smiles. Gary called into my voicemail this weekend, was reading me a couple of articles and tidbits from Soap Opera Digest, which I don't subscribe to that magazine. And I have, by the way, I have told everyone in my family that I've hinted that that would be a really good gift for me for Christmas or birthday. I'd really like to have a Soap Opera Digest or a CBS Soaps in Depth. If you're looking for, you know, I have to be all sly about it. If you're looking for gift ideas for me. But two little tidbits from Soap Opera Digest that Gary read to me that I thought was interesting. First, regarding Adam. This really stuck with me. Gary kind of read this line from Soap Opera Digest that they were appreciating the way that the Adam reveal had happened, that Adam's identity was being revealed not from a situation, but by his own arrogance. And I thought that, I mean, I heard that message on like Monday or whenever I was watching Monday's show, and that just really rang true to me, and it definitely helped shape how I watched that the continuing of the unveiling, because it is really true. It is his own arrogance and his own ego, and I don't know how I don't know. I'm mad. I go through phases of being mad at Adam. But the other thing from Soap Opera Digest was the Jessica Collins interview, which is so interesting to me. You guys should go out there. I have the luxury of having it read to me. But you should, if you can find it, you guys, everybody on the internet, to go find Jessica Collins's interview with Soap Opera Digest, where she talks about Avery's exit from the show. And not only that, but kind of the behind the scenes hubbub that happened and why she was leaving, and just that she was kind of unsatisfied with the way the character was going. And they talked about the rewrite. She talked about the rewrite of that final storyline. So you should go find that, because it was definitely interesting and helps kind of put a pin in the story of Avery Bailey Clark. Beatrice left me Beatrice is how she says it. It left a voicemail that says, "Where's a good slap when you need one? Chelsea is being way too understanding." You know, I thought the exact same thing after watching Monday's show. The fact that Chelsea didn't smack Adam was shocking to me, because I immediately got the impression that she was just going to fall right back into his arms. I'm like, no. I guess maybe it would be more realistic that she would be so happy to see the husband that she lost, but he did certainly deserve a smack upside the head at the very least. Gina left a voicemail, and she says, "I'd love to see Victor out and Adam in at Newman Enterprises. If Chelsea doesn't want Adam, I'd be more than happy to take him on." I love that. I feel the same way. I mean, I know, well, I wouldn't take him on. I'm happy keeping my distance. Gina, I'll watch you and Adam enjoy your happy, crazy lifestyle. Because it's like, I find him attractive, but I know, knowing me, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Anna left a voicemail. It says, "I don't believe that Chelsea didn't tell people about Adam's identity because of other people. I think she did it for herself and for Adam. She loves Adam." I think that's a very interesting point too, because Chelsea made a big deal about saying she didn't want to blow up everybody else's life, but didn't happen to focus on the fact that she'd be blowing up her life and Adam's life too. I think that's a very fair argument. Simone left a voicemail that says, "There is no way that Victor's office isn't bugged." Which is so true. I mean, Simone was saying, everybody's standing in Victor's office revealing everything. I mean, Adam's revealing his identity. The Adam identity reveal happened inside of Victor's office. And I mean, like, Victor has bugged other people's offices. He bugged Ashley's lab. So why wouldn't he have his own office bugged at this point? He had to have known he was going to be arrested. Simone had kind of mentioned she thought it was sort of a storyline hole, and I think that's true, but what if it's actually going to be a twist? Because Victor's got to find out about Adam's identity eventually. What if he already knows? What if there's a chance that, he's got his iPad there, maybe he's listening into the conversations that are happening in his office, and maybe that's how he'll find out about Adam's identity, and maybe he'll be the one to throw down the trump card. Simone also left, I think it's the same Simone. I'm going to assume there's only one Simone out there, but there might be doubles. I don't know. Maybe you have a twin. Also left a message on Facebook, though, that said, I really hope that Abby doesn't fall on her face. It's time the character got a real storyline. I'd love to see her wipe that smug look off Victoria's face. And then, it's kind of like, I think the Abby thing is very divisive. A lot of different opinions. Rocks Grace on YouTube says, "My whole issue with Abby is the current actress. She cannot sell me on the bright side of Abby, and such a side did exist under a previous portrayal. Abby made some smart decisions, buying stock before anyone else, successfully suing her father, but Melissa Ordway is so flat, she can't pull off a multifaceted Abby." And then Aaron Brody on YouTube says, "Abby needs some acting lessons. Why is her acting so flat? I can't get behind her on anything. I know this sounds mean, but I liked Victoria and Billy bitching at her." Maybe this will get the actress to grow some confidence and gain some delivery. Yes, I want that too. There are moments where I'm like, ugh, I can't even talk about Abby. And then there are other moments where I think, yeah, I think it just needs some work. So maybe Y&R will give us that. Now, I'm going to end on a long but just really thoughtful message from Daisy on Facebook, because she's put together some pieces about Marissa that I never would have. I mean, I never, this was never even in my mind, but I'm going to read it to you guys because I think you'll appreciate it. Marissa: "All she had to do was tell first Noah, then the police, who Marco really was, that she knew and he was posing as Jack. Also, that they crashed, and show them where the body is, or is supposed to be, since I think he's still alive." I think he's still alive too. But then Marissa could tell them where Jack has been and what he and she have been through. Now, I'm going to keep reading, but I just want to say, why is Marissa keeping this secret is the point. That's the dots that I haven't been able to really connect. And by the way, why haven't the Abbotts noticed that one of their cars is missing? Where's Jack's car? No, I mean that was what Marco was driving when he and Marissa ran off road. I mean, and haven't the police noticed that there's a car crash out by the lake? I guess unless it's at the bottom of the lake. Daisy goes on to say, who is Marissa supposed to be protecting and why? Marissa had no reason to protect Marco that we know of. If she told the truth, then Victor would be free because he'd claim he didn't know Marco was posing as Jack or that Marco was blackmailing him and he believed Jack was dead. Adam doesn't need protection either. Even though Marissa knows who he really is, her telling him the truth about Marco wouldn't involve Adam unless Adam himself told the police that Marco was blackmailing him. And Jack doesn't need to be protected. He needs the truth to come out, which would verify that Jack had been kidnapped and held captive. And of course, that would verify how stupid his family, especially Phyllis, is, but I digress. Jack's family would like Marissa for helping them, so they would likely help her out. It's a win-win for Marissa. It makes no sense to me that she's keeping this secret. What would prevent Marissa from speaking the truth? What does Marissa really want? Is she protecting Marco? Are they in cahoots? Wow. Okay, guys, that is it for me. It's hot here. I need to go get myself some iced tea, turn on my air conditioner. I can't have the air conditioning on when I'm recording because otherwise you just can hear it going in the background on and off and it drives me nuts. So I'm spitzing here. I hope you guys are staying cool where you are and that you're loving the show right now. You guys gotta leave me some comments. You can call in, you can write comments. I listen to and read every single comment that you guys read me, and I'm musing, believe me, and I try to work the ones in to the next way in our chat that sort of work with the themes that we're talking about for the current week. So if you want to leave me a comment and maybe get yours read, you can call into my voicemail at area code 309-588-4569. I always love hearing your voices, but you can also go to my website at yrchat.com. You can leave a voicemail actually right through the website, or you can leave a comment there on the blog, or you could find my Facebook and Twitter and leave comments on all those places too. yrchat.com also has polls and photos and other stuff like that you can see, so don't be shy. Let's follow up and stay in touch throughout the week. I'm really excited to see where the Adam story is going to be next week, especially because it just puts Chelsea right in the center of this controversy, and I want to see what she's gonna do. I think it's gonna be good, and hopefully the whole who shot Jack thing will be over. Jack needs to come up out of that coma. That's my hope for next week. Fingers crossed. I'll see you guys next time. I love ya. Bye.